initializing, it's recording. So now everything that I'm saying, everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm going to do is going to be captured. You know, even if I have shadows, that won't be captured. You know, it's not going to pick up shadows because it's only going to pick up what is going on my screen. So it's capturing everything on the screen. So I was saying the beauty of putting things up into YouTube is a number of things. First, that YouTube. Yeah.
When you say on the screen, for example, if you stand in front of the screen, is it going to capture you?
No.
It only captures like what's.
Right. Okay. So I'm saying because this projector, this is a much newer kind of smartboard, the kind that they have now. So the reason they did this is because when you have a projector coming in your face and you're trying to be in front of the class, it's like, oh my God, I'm blinded. Plus, you know, you get a lot of shadow, but you can get shadow here. That shadow obviously is not going to be captured. What is being captured is what is being done on the computer screen, which is what's being captured here. So whatever's on my computer screen is here. So when I look at my computer screen, I see checkboxes. It's kind of weird, but that's the way that SmartBoard software works. But having it in YouTube is a beautiful thing. You can actually have this unlimited videos in YouTube. I've done 3 sessions in here at about an hour each. They're up on YouTube now. You can sit and watch them. The other beauty is that YouTube will capture, will do a machine closed captioning. Then you can edit that to make it better, so you have it completely accessible. And then the other really wonderful thing is that it's completely mobile ready. You don't have to worry about it because if a student goes to it and goes onto YouTube on their phone, they can watch it, or on their iPad. Doesn't matter if it's Android, Windows, doesn't matter. So that's the other beauty of the things when it comes to YouTube. So that's really the idea of capturing and recording your lecture. You know, so as I was talking to you earlier this morning, Wendy, you know, the idea is that you could come here. I don't know about the SmartBoards at that tech,
right,
but you could come here. I'll close the door. You know, it's a nice private space. Go ahead and do your lecture. Bring up your PowerPoint. I'm going to show that all. Annotate it with whatever you want, with whatever pen you want, you know, whatever drawings you want, and stop it, and you're done. And it's that easy to do. So the first thing I want to talk about is how to start your SmartBoard. Essentially, there really is no thing to start your SmartBoard. If you have a computer that is connected, and I was showing this is how I know the SmartBoard. First, I know the SmartBoard is working because I got a green light. If it's red, that means the connection between the computer and the SmartBoard is not working. TRSs are the ones that take care of that hardware stuff. So if there is some issue that you're having, or if the drivers aren't correct on the computer, or Tim, if you want drivers on your laptop, maybe because you want to use your laptop, I would get with one of the TRSs. I don't know what to tell you, but just come here.
Okay.
They don't have a lot of support at that tech center.
But if I came here, I could just use the computer.
Correct. This is all set up. All you would do is start it up, and then this is what starts up the projector, and then once it's connected, it becomes green. And you'll see this is how you know you're connected, is by looking in the system tray, and you'll see this little icon down here. This icon also, I forget which one that one is, but this is the icon that you know things are connected here. And then you can also go to the smart settings here. And when you go to the smart settings, you know, if you're not sure if it is connected or not, you can go to the connection wizard here, and this brings up and goes and looks and checks to see, and then it will say, there's a SmartBoard. This is the 600 series, which I didn't think was the 600 series. And my smart product is not listed, and that's okay. And then you can go next, and it would you know, find if it didn't have it, you could troubleshoot that possibility. And you can see if you don't get it exactly. Come on.
But besides, Alan, besides turning it on there,
yeah,
you got to open the application here.
No, it starts up. As soon as you start up the computer, and it will, and the SmartBoard.
So you just power that on, and then you can just use that as your list.
I mean, that's really, there's really nothing to it. You know, again, if there's any troubleshooting, the TRSs are really the ones to work with that. One of the most important things to do is orienting the board. Okay, and so there's a number of ways of getting to orienting the board, and I have one handout that I gave you on orienting the smartboard, interactive whiteboard. And it's usually during the initial setup, and it's not a bad idea to do it every once in a while. Even though this is a stationary one, sometimes it can get out of whack a little bit. Again, if you're on a mobile one, that was the problem with it. When you keep pushing on things, you know, it would push it back and it wouldn't orient. So again, a whole bunch of ways to get to the orientation. The way that I get to it, well, and that goes along with the Smart Tool. So I'm going to get to it this way. When I click there, I click on the Smart Settings, and you'll see Orient Smartboard. So you click that, and this is what it does. And this is how you orient it. You bring it up, and you push in the center, and you'll hear the ding.
Oh, of course, you have to do that every time. It's too much fun.
Yeah. Not every time. Not every time. That essentially is it. When it comes to, you know, the stationary smartboards, that's it. I mean, when it came to the other smartboards, sometimes you would have 20 points because you really want to get it precise. And I think that they talk about that in here. Yeah, they talk about increasing the calibration detail where you can actually, you know, go to pen and settings and orientation and alignment. You know, I mean, I'm not going to go that far, but you can get really fine with it. I mean, honestly, you'll see that it's working pretty well here. You know, you do have to touch it in certain points, but that's it. That's all there is to how you orient the smartboard. I mean, yeah.
Well, when you take a look at something that's highlighted, like how to orient the board, that's a long sentence. So how do you know where to touch it?
You mean this hyperlink?
Correct.
Well, it's just a hyperlink, so I made the whole thing a link. I created the link.
No, that's not what I mean.
No.
You have to you seem to have to be specific. Is it in the middle? Is it towards the end?
Well, this is a hyperlink, so it doesn't matter wherever I take it. But yeah, you have to kind of be on the link itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and you may do it a couple times, like you saw me doing it, you know, but
It's not that hard.
it's not that hard. I mean,
It's like your finger's the mouse.
your finger is the mouse.
Yeah.
That is the whole key here. So that is the whole idea of the smartboard. The idea is to take me away from being, you know, confined back here. And I'm going to show you later on, you know, toward the end, working with PowerPoint, where I can actually work with PowerPoint, and there actually are controls inside of the smartboard software to make me sit right here. I don't have to go here and move the things. Yay. So the next thing is using the pen tray. That's this thing down here. So let me bring up this here. And I got this wrong. I thought this was the 800 series, which this is, but it says it's the 600 series. I don't know. It doesn't matter what the series is. This is the newer looking pen tray, the one you see here. Hi. So this is the newer looking pen tray down here. And they have this is wrong, what they have here. So I got this image off the web, and I'm like, oh, now I looked at it. That's wrong. This is actually the right mouse click. And this is the keyboard. And I don't spell right. So that's the keyboard. This is the right mouse click. That's this series here. So what do I mean by that? So, you know, you'll have the 4 colors, and the honest truth is the colors don't matter. Oh, I'm going to do green. No, it's actually blue, because the way it works, and you know what, you don't even have to have these. If I lose these, you know, you can put something else in here. It's all about the sensor that's in here. You know, I can also use my finger. So just because I lose the pens doesn't mean anything. Maybe it doesn't look good, you know, for resale, I guess, I don't know. But it's not a big deal. So you have the 4 colors, and of course the eraser. And again, in this particular series, you have the 2 buttons here. And then in this series, which are the older ones, which you'll see in the TL building, again, you still have the same 4 pens. You have the eraser, and then you have the buttons over here on the side. So the buttons are kind of important, especially if you wanted to, like, right mouse something. So that's what this button is. This button is the right mouse. If I push that, and now if I hold down, I get the right mouse click. So that's how you do a right mouse click, by standing up in front of the students. So that I could select all, that selects all of the images. Again, I'm still on, then I can move them. And then again, I just push that, and that gives me the right mouse click. So that's the way to do right mouse clicking. If you're used to doing right mouse clicking like I am. I mean, if you're on a Mac, I guess you don't do it. But do you know what I mean by right mouse clicking?
Yes, you click the right button on the mouse. What about the left click?
Then it's just, this is left. That's left.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Just your finger.
Just my finger.
Oh, okay. You don't need a right button.
You don't need a right. So by default, your finger and whatever you touch is left mouse clicking.
Gotcha.
And if you want the context-sensitive menus, because you're showing, like in this case, I want to show something, on this particular object. So I selected that object, and now I want to go and do something on that object. Again, I would hold, and now it gives me the right mouse. This is the keyboard, which I don't think is useful, to be quite frank. But if you want to stand up there and try to type, I mean, if you really do have to type, go behind the station, the teacher station, and do that. There is a keyboard that floats out over here that you can push out, and it will come out over here. Again, I don't see a lot of use, honestly, for the keyboard. But if you really wanted to detach yourself from the teacher workstation and you had to type something in, that's something to do.
What about writing with your finger? Would you use the pencil up there or the A up there?
Well, this is the Smart Notebook software, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. I want to hold off on that
Sorry.
for now. Okay. So that's the pen tray and how the pen trays work. So writing on the Smart Board software, which of course is the really cool thing, and I'm going to show you a variety of different things and ways of writing on it. Let's just say I'm on the desktop here, and I want to highlight or point something out to the student. When I write on the smartboard inside of like desktop, what's going to show up here is something called Smart Ink. So this is where the Smart Ink. So in a sense, it's not really writing on the desktop because it can't. I guess the software can't figure out how to create a layer on the desktop to put that on there. So in this case, it puts it into the Smart Ink. One of the things that I would, and I don't know if the computers in the other offices, or I mean the other rooms are like this, but one of the things that Smart Ink can do is, and I turned it off on here, is it will recognize it and try to write out what you did in digital writing. In other words, it'll be like handwritten recognition. It's, I think it's not useful, personally. I mean, but again, if you have bad handwriting or bad printing like me, I mean, it's possible. But within the Smart Ink here, there are some choices that I can do here. So you're asking, one of the things in Smart Ink is, you just click on that and you can choose a different, pen, or if I want a thicker line, I can choose a thicker line on that. I can easily do a highlighter instead, so now when I bring up that, well, that didn't do it. So I guess the highlighter uses so I can use my finger, or again use one of the pens to do that. So again, you have options within the Smart Ink. You can clear all of it if you want. And again, there's some settings in here too, if you want. So one of the things, hide Smart Ink toolbar, but enable it over Windows. Clear ink notes after their text is inserted. Use shadows. So you got some settings in the Smart Ink also. One of the things that's kind of nice in Smart Ink, I mean, I can clear all the text if I want, or just use the eraser. But I think one of the other features that's nice is capture. What if I just had this idea and I wrote something and it showed up in Smart Ink, but I want to capture that. What you do is you push that Smart Ink and go to capture, and what it will do is create a capture and bring it up into the Smart Notebook software. Now I happen to bring up into the Smart Book software that I already had open, this one that I call Pen Trays, but if you didn't have one open, it would open it into a new document. So now it's in Smart Notebook software, as you can see with what I wrote, and now I can do all other kinds of things with it, including save it as a PDF and put it up in my Angel course like that for my students. So, I mean, that...
Why would we go into Smart Ink and why not always go into the notebook? What's the...
It's just, it's choices. So I'm going to talk about the Smart Ink, the Smart Notebook software, but it's choices. I wish we'd stop giving me messages too. I didn't want to. Again, it's choices. If you were doing something out here. I talked about a PDF. So if you're, let's say you had a PDF and you wanted to draw on the PDF. Again, here, in this case, it's not necessarily using, this is why I don't understand why yours isn't working. I mean, it's not using, in this case, it's because it knows it's a PDF, and in certain applications, it can literally just write on those applications. So it's not really using Smart Ink in a sense. It is, and it isn't. Let's put it that way.
Okay, so then how do you save that PDF?
You would just, I think...
Regular save, and it's got the face on it? What you drew?
Well, I'm going to just save it as a copy here. Yeah. And it should have, and it says document does not allow you to save any changes made unless you... That's Adobe. So, let's say I wanted to save it. Go up here, capture. Come on, do it. I know it did it earlier. Bring it up. No. Don't lie to me. I know I'm lying. And I think I didn't have that in. Well, let's go to the computer, capture. There we go. So that capture feature and having that Smart Ink brings it up here. Now, it's way too big, so now I just go up here and I can make it a little smaller. So it becomes an image, inside of the Smart Notebook software. Now that it's in the Smart Notebook software, I can now, annotate it even more and save it and then add all different kinds of other things that you could imagine, even more images, and there's all kinds of stuff that goes in there. So that's how, you do it in PDF. When it comes, let's say you're on the web, as you saw, again, the same concept. You just bring the pen up, you make a big smile, and again, if you want to save that, it's a matter of capturing that. Because this is a layer, it's not really there. It's kind of like, in front of the web page. So, but the Smart Ink knows it, and again, I just do a capture, which didn't. I'm just going through things. There we go.
And Ellen, how do you turn on this Smart Ink feature again?
It comes up.
It
should. I know that.
Writing, it does it?
Yeah. I mean, on this one, it will. Again, I know that Paul Sutton found that some computers, because the computers at Seminole here, some of their workstations are lower end, shall we say. And so he felt that this was interfering with that and didn't load it on some. So I told him it needs to be on, because you can't do a lot of writing with this newer version of the SmartBoard software without. But I think it's back on. Yeah.
One question that I'm using, it's not actually a board, it's a screen. You know what I'm talking about? It doesn't. You have smart features, but you don't have the board. You just have the screen, like a pull-down screen. How do you use it? How do you do that?
Well, that would be using the Smart Notebook software.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's another whole thing that comes with it. Using the smart, you don't have to have a smart board in order to have the Smart Notebook software loaded on your computer. So you could literally but you have to be behind the workstation doing the stuff. So I could be here. This is in the Smart Notebook software. I'm not there, you know, and I could go, you know, here's pens, right? So give me a green. So I could be drawing,
Okay.
you know. You're not going to have the recorder like I'm doing here because that's, you know, part of the smartboard itself,
Okay.
you know. But, you know, whatever you do in here, you can bring this up and then you could save it as a PDF. So you could be doing stuff here, kind of using smartboard, but students wouldn't be able to come up and write.
Okay.
One other thing about smartboard, if you do, don't ever use regular markers, even erasable markers. It will ruin it. This is not a whiteboard. This is a smart whiteboard. It's one of the issues that can come with it, you know, and it will ruin it. It can. So let me go back to. Does that help to understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So I talked about just writing on the smartboard, as you saw, and saving it. And I'm going to talk about Smart Notebook software. I talked about it a number of times. But, you know, using some different applications, I'm going to save the PowerPoint. But you saw that, I mean, basically any application, even if it doesn't have kind of an understanding of how the Smart Notebook, how the smartboard works, okay, you can still, it still will write in the Smart Ink. So we'll still capture what you're writing, even if that application doesn't work. But any of the Microsoft applications all use the Smart. They use what's called Microsoft Ink, actually, and there's all a bunch of settings in there. So I bring up Word just as a blank document. You'll see it'll say, it should go, hopefully. Word comes up. See how it changes to Microsoft Ink. So the smartboard software is smart enough to understand that now I'm in a Microsoft product. And so when I draw, I picked up green and it went red. You can see where it says, use the Office pen ribbons to choose your ink. So you see it's created a whole nother tab and a whole nother ribbon in Microsoft Office for you to choose. And you can actually have, you know, so if you wanted something thicker, it'll now be red. It wasn't that thick, was it? Here's the thickness.
If you wanted this to appear like a whiteboard,
Mhm.
right now this looks like a Word document. If
Yeah.
you wanted the whole thing to look white,
Right.
is that possible to do?
Well, that's where, again, using the Smart Notebook software comes in.
Okay.
So what I'm just showing you is all the different places and varieties and things you can do in here. And then again, you can go ahead and save this out, you know, capture this and it'll be saved back out, you know, as a board. And this, if you do save, it should have all of the writings in there. So again, the idea is if you don't have the Smart Notebook software on your own computer, which you can get, you know, with the Smart Notebook software, you could actually create your entire lesson, you know, with it. And you can have various slides. You know, so this is page 2, page 1, you've got page 3, page 4, page 5. You have all kinds of things. You can put blinds on this so it doesn't, you know, show up in certain places and certain things. But let's say you already have a Word document or a PDF, you know, and you want to annotate that. Well, this is the Word document that I just did, and it saved all of my annotations, all of my stuff that I wrote on it. So, I mean, if you already have something, you know, why use something else is the idea, you know, to recreate it. But let's just say you're going to do a lesson, and I look at Tim and his math, of course. I mean, I think it goes with any kind of discipline, but math especially. So if I have the notebook, the Smart Notebook software, this is what, when I bring it up, this is what I get. I get a blank slate. You know, so now I can just do, and it kind of looks like a big whiteboard, you know. So now I could do my lesson, you know, 2 plus 2 equals what, everyone? 5. No, okay. I mean, again, I want to do a whole another training on this. There's so much more you can do with this, adding images. There's a whole gallery in here where there's example lessons that you can download, and it's really a powerful thing. A good little story is my wife, who is not, believe it or not, as technologically adept as I am, teaches kindergarten at Seminole Elementary. And one day they brought in this whiteboard, and she was like really upset. Why are they bringing smartboard? Why are they bringing the smartboard in? I don't know. And she complained. She can't live without it now. The lessons that she uses off of it are incredible. But you know what you can do, again, standing in front of this, you know, you can do all kinds of things. Clone this. You can. So my point is that this software, you could use this and do your whole lesson, or do your lecture and writing, and then basically you can save this. So you save and you can export this. So whatever you have on here, you can do. You can add sounds to make it funny. You can add movies. You can add captures, all kinds of things. And then what you can do is you do it export, and you can export it as a PDF, even web pages, even into a PowerPoint. So the idea is that if you are doing, if it's for online, you know, you could do it all here. But if it's face-to-face and you're doing it, and the students go, I really wish I had those notes because I didn't write fast enough. You know, you do everything on here just as like you were doing on a regular Blackboard. Export it as a PDF, done. And then you put it up in Angel. Hey, there's no complaints, right? I didn't get the notes, right? Know what this student just said? So using the Smart Notebook software, I think is really, really good. And again, if you want to get that onto your workstation or onto your laptop, contact one of the TRSs, because the smart technology people don't let you necessarily just download it. They want you to have this long key. It's really weird because they want you to actually have a license for the smartboard, which is silly. I mean, if you think about Turning Point Technologies, the clickers, they don't care who has the Turning Point software because it doesn't work if you don't have, you know. But I guess because, again, you could use this, you know, on a workstation, you know, you could, but it makes more sense to use it with the smartboard. All right. I probably should have rearranged this and done that later, but because I'm going to show some of the smart tools. But that's about writing it, because that's the big part of, you know, the smartboard itself. So the smart tools, I have a handout on that. This essentially is what's called the floating toolbar. And there's a whole bunch of different smart tools. This thing you can take, it usually sits on this side of the screen, but that annoys me, so I go on this side. And it usually is it's floating. So what you have on here are some of the tools, like you could use, so instead of using here, if I lost something, you know, you choose that, and then it has this little cog here, which gives you some other choices here, like fill effects if there are any, the transparency of the line, if it's going to be bigger. So if I choose that, you know, or if I choose that, or what if I want to highlight something? So I choose that and I go, you know, this is what we need to talk about, folks. And again, you can go here and you can see, depending on what tool you have some different choices in terms of the styles. And you can save those tool properties, keeping in mind that if you're doing this, you know, I'm doing this here, this is a kind of self-contained. If you're doing it in one of the classrooms in TL, when you reboot the computer, you'll lose any of those preferences. So, because that's got deep freeze on them. You know, this is the eraser. Here's the right mouse click. So instead of pushing down there, this is the right mouse click. I think, yeah, there we go. Well, it's not going to do it for me now. This is the Smart Notebook software. So if you need that, here's the keyboard. This will undo things. This is kind of nice. This is what's called like the shade. So one of the things that's nice, especially if you think about math, if you had stuff done in Smart Notebook software, you could say, you know, you can see the shade here. Shade up. And I don't know where the shade is down up there. I don't know why it's not up there.
So you can,
Yeah, you can hide things.
that's great.
So again, this is why I want to do another whole thing on the Smart Notebook software, because again, it's kind of like creating your PowerPoint. You know, you could use your Smart Notebook software, and I think that you could actually import various things like a PowerPoint into Smart Notebook software. So it'll convert it into Smart Notebook software, and I think it will convert it so you have the various slides down there, so you can actually, you know, then annotate that PowerPoint if you want within the system. So again, the blind is a really nice feature, and there it is up top, right there. See? But it comes in as images here. Scary. So this blind is really nice because, again,
You can show one question at a
one
time.
question at a time and have everything underneath of it without the students knowing that. And then you can close the blind there. Again, it's right here. So here's this PowerPoint. And it created, I think, an image. But no, it actually converted it. But it didn't convert it into text. I can't edit that. This is the recorder that I showed before. So this is what the standard, and actually recorder's not on here. If you want to add more tools, you click on the little cog down here. Here's all the other kind of tools that you can have. So for example, I was talking about the orientation. You know, one of the ways of doing the orientation is going from here and going to Smart Settings, click, 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 click. Well, what if I want to do it in one fell swoop? I take that and I drag it out and I just drag it down to the toolbar there and I say done and I click there and now I can go through the orientation to me with one click in a much faster manner. Than I would otherwise. So you have all these others, a calculator right there. So again, I can bring a calculator over here when I say done. So it has a floating calculator if I want to use a calculator with the students. So again, there's a lot of different kind of toolbars, the tools up here. And then again, you have the floating toolbar, which gives you access very quickly to a lot of the things. It's capturing, for example. Again, you know, I can go up to the Smart Ink and go to capture, but if I have the capture on here, I can do that. I can even capture an area. So if I don't want to capture the whole screen, but just an area, I can do a screen capture very quickly. So again, I think that you realize that there's a lot more power. I've got to choose that because that's a selecting. There's a lot more power to it. If I want to get rid of something on the floating toolbar, I just take it and drag it back out. Like that. And it goes back out. I like that one on there. I think my orientation, I messed up the orientation. I think I messed up the orientation. See, I need to reorient it. So that's the smart tools and the floating tools which are out here, which again I think are just, you know, a quick access to what you need quickly. Yeah.
So do all of you have the 800 series or?
This is the newer one. So any of the newer boards, so if like in Portable West, I know there's one room in there, I think that's a smart board, or a couple, they're going to have this system. But most of the ones in TL will have the older smart boards and the UP building. And they still should, but they still should work. So they're going to have the other tray. Yeah. The floating thing by default would have the selector, the pens, the highlight. I think that's the eraser. You know that. I think it would have the smart notebook. It should have up to, I think, the screen. I think that's.
I don't see the shade. Yeah, shade.
Oh, the shade's not on there?
Yeah.
Well, then the shade would be right here. Again, you can drag it over there. You know, again, the only issue is because the machines have deep freeze on it, the next day, you know, that you come in, you're going to have to reset it. So, I mean, if it's a matter of, coming in before class starts and just going to do that.
But they have the same sense.
Oh, yeah, it should. I mean, it should have.
Okay.
Should have the latest software. Again, some of our TRSs don't like to put the updates of the SmartBoard software on either, and I think it's important to keep everything up.
Well, just out of curiosity, do you know how much this costs? A smart board and putting the projector?
I do not. When they were doing this,
Yeah,
this was part of it.
right.
I don't know what the cost is. Certainly something to think about.
Sure.
I mean, the honest truth is, when I first started here at the college, we ended up with a lot of smartboards that got bought. Nobody knew how to use them. They were on rollers. They really weren't, because they're on rollers, when you push it, it goes and disorients. And you had a projector that was not stationary. A lot of them weren't up in this, God, I've been here 15 years. The other issue that when I came to Seminole is that the smartboard, the older smartboards are not as wide as this and big.
No, that's right.
They're tiny.
Yeah.
And they're in large rooms. And at that time, we only had one projector that was showing on them. But the difference today, though, is in the larger TL rooms, like in 124, in that room, you have a smaller smartboard in the middle, but then you have the two screens on the side. So what you do is you bring them all down, and whatever you're doing on the smartboard will show up on the two. So it's good. But originally, when I taught here, I was thinking the students sitting all the way over in the corner, they're not going to really be able to see what I'm doing, so I didn't find much use for using them. Again, it's changed, and the way that the software itself has progressed, has changed. So I think it's really become much more useful. And again, what you'll see, at least in Pinellas County schools, in K-12, every teacher has a smartboard. They bought one. Every teacher has a smartboard. Or if they haven't, they're in the process of getting a smartboard. In fact, I was just my son is in the horticulture program at the at the BOAG Center, and I had to go pick him up, and I saw the instructor was teaching electricity. He was using the smartboard and writing all the stuff down. I thought, what a great thing to do, because then, he had all these formulas and was asking the students, I could hear him through the door, and then, click, file, export as a PDF, here are my notes. Don't tell me you didn't hear what I was saying. They'll still say that, right? So the last thing I wanted to show, just again using the basics, is working in PowerPoint, because you may, and I have a handout on that, on using PowerPoint with SmartBoard software. So I have a PowerPoint here. So if you're in PowerPoint, I probably need to reorient this. Again, what's going to end up happening is you have the Microsoft Ink in here. So if I start up my PowerPoint, you'll notice right here that I have this little floating toolbar right there, so that I don't have to leave. I don't have to be here, or I don't have to have a clicker. I can be here, and again, I need to orient. And then again, I can bring up my pen, and say this is an I. And I can also choose this little drop-down arrow, and it allows me to get the ink that's from the PowerPoint tools very quickly. I go to the PowerPoint menu, which nice is a little pointer. So if I have a pointer that shows up, so now I have a pointer that shows up there. You probably should be able to change the colors of the pointer. Here's the PowerPoint menu that comes up if I want to use the PowerPoint menu. But again, if I wanted then to capture something, I can just click capture and it would capture it. Once again, once you come out of the PowerPoint here, let me get out of the escape, you'll notice that it saves whatever annotations I've done. If I go and save this, I now have kind of ruined my PowerPoint because it will save the writings and any annotations I've done with the SmartBoard software within the PowerPoint. and I can't just easily erase it.
So you should save it.
So save it as a different version, or again, export it, because it's in PowerPoint, export it as a PDF if you want for the students. But yeah, you want to be careful about that because it will save that. And then I'm kind of, in a sense, ruined it. It's real difficult to get rid of it once you've done that. But again, what's nice is that I don't have to think about anything in here. I can just do my PowerPoint. And again, I can just scroll through here. Right down here, you'll see I'm on 2. So this brings up different slides, so I can immediately go to slide 16 or slide 30 right there. In this particular one, we happen to have videos. I don't remember where the datas are. The videos. So it's a link that I have inside of it, goes out. And again, because I'm doing the recording, it's also going to capture it. If you've never seen this, it's hilarious. Not this. That's not this.
There's some things I hate about PowerPoint, and I figure it's kind of my duty to point them out. So here we go. Here's common PowerPoint mistakes. Number one, people tend to put every word they are going to say on their PowerPoint slides. Although this eliminates the need to memorize your talk, ultimately this makes your slides crowded, wordy, and boring.
Go look up Life After Death by PowerPoint, and it's hilarious. Good thing. But so you saw, I was able to go ahead in and, if I close that out now, it'll take me back to my PowerPoint. So any videos, any links that I have in there will all work if they're in the PowerPoint. And then again, that little X right there ends my PowerPoint. So again, I don't necessarily have to be, in fact, behind the computer. So that's some of the basics. I mean, do you have any other questions?
How about putting it up? How about putting your...
Oh, I'll show you that. Yeah.
When you say captures it, is there a recording or is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it can capture also the voice?
Yes. Because I have my webcam up here, it's using the webcam microphone. You obviously have to have a microphone. No. So if you have a webcam, take a webcam, go plug it in, because again, the webcam is a really good, it's good for omnidirectional, so even though you're sitting back there, it may be a little low, but it will pick up your question. So we'll pick up questions from the students because it's a pretty good mic, and so even if I'm standing over here, it still should pick it up. So now I'm done, so I go bring up the recorder, and as you can see, 43 minutes.